Hello and welcome to the House News, special episode of the 79th anniversary of the House of Representatives of Indonesia. I'm Diza and I'll be your host for today. Before we start, let's see our headlines for today. At the joint session of DPR RI and DPD RI, the Speaker of the House highlighted the collective responsibility to maintain and develop an effective, advanced, and civilized democracy. In commemorating Indonesia's 79th Independence Day, members of the House hope for more equal access and opportunities in the education sector. Celebrating Indonesia's 79th Independence Day, Indonesian parliamentarians urged improvements within the law enforcement sector to maintain national stability and security. The House building holds many historical stories, from initial construction plans to the change in its names. Each change represents an important moment in Indonesia's journey. Speaker of the House, Dr. Honoris Causa Puan Maharani emphasized the role of democracy in establishing legitimate authority, allowing effective governance and ensuring people can live with dignity and prosperity.
Furthermore, Puan stated the branches of government, executive, legislative, and judiciary can function effectively when national politics are guided by democratic principles. Therefore, national and state politics should be conducted with a commitment to civilized, dignified, and ethical values.
Dalam berdemokrasi, rakyat tidak pernah berkuasa. Rakyat hanya menentukan siapa yang akan berkuasa. Hakikat demokrasi adalah memberi jalan agar kekuasaan mendapatkan legitimasinya, sehingga kekuasaan dapat digunakan untuk mengatur bangsa dan negara bagi memberikan rakyatnya hidup sejahtera dalam harkat dan martabatnya. Akan tetapi, demokrasi dapat juga berjalan pada arah yang salah, yaitu demokrasi yang tidak menjalankan kedaulatan rakyat.
In the same session, President Joko Widodo kicked off his final State of the Nation address by thanking the Indonesian people for their support throughout the past 10 years of his leadership. He offered more apologies and expressed regret for any shortcomings or unfulfilled expectations.
Saya dan Profesor Kiai Haji Ma'ruf Amin mohon maaf untuk setiap hati yang mungkin kecewa, untuk setiap harapan yang mungkin belum bisa terwujud, untuk setiap cita-cita yang mungkin belum bisa tergapai.
TVR Parliament Team reports.
The House urges equal access to education throughout Indonesia and hopes to make it available to every segment of society. This effort is meant to improve public welfare and drive national economic growth.
Member of Commission 10 of the House, Eva Rataba, mentions, under the theme New Nusantara, Advance Indonesia, the government should use the 79th anniversary of Indonesia's independence to improve the education sector, particularly in the frontier, outermost, and least developed regions. Improving and equalizing educational quality through Indonesia will lead to a prosperous and sovereign Indonesia, setting the stage for achieving a golden Indonesia by 2045.
Fondasi dasar itu untuk kemajuan suatu bangsa itu ya adalah pendidikan. Jadi memang sekali lagi yang saya sampaikan bahwa pemerintah harus betul-betul hadir di sini. Banyak sektor yang harus kita pulihkan di bangsa ini, tetapi saya titik beratkan selain kebinekaan, pendidikan sebagai dasar untuk menciptakan sumber daya manusia yang maju, yang unggul, yang berkualitas.
Meanwhile, Vice Chairperson of Commission 7 of the House, Edi Suparno, highlights the future government faces the challenges of creating numerous jobs and achieving self-sufficiency in food and energy. To achieve energy resilience, government must increase domestic energy production. Current oil production levels have not met the target set in the state budget due to decline in oil lifting.
Kita menyediakan energi secara mandiri di negara kita, dan tentu kita akan menggenjot pertumbuhan ekonomi yang selama ini berada di angka 5%, itu akan ditingkatkan secara sangat intensif.
TVR Parliament Team reports.
The House emphasized the need for a strong legal enforcement system to ensure Indonesia's resilience and unity. This system is important for maintaining national stability and addressing challenges effectively.
Member of Commission 3 of the House Yaakobus Jaki Uli points out, Indonesia must ensure unity despite a weak legal enforcement system. With intense focus on law enforcement agencies, integrity is necessary for creating a fair and comprehensive legal foundation as Indonesia prepares for a golden Indonesia by 2045.
Segala sesuatu yang kita cita-citakan maju itu, dasar dan basicnya itu adalah dalam hal penegakan hukum. Negara itu ambruk di mana hukumnya sudah nggak benar. Contoh Bangladesh itu kita bisa lihat depan mata kita sendiri. Tentu kita harapkan 2045 untuk Indonesia emas kita sudah tertata rapi semua sehingga tidak terjadi hal yang tidak kita inginkan.
On the other hand, Member of Commission 10 of the House Nuroji states the government's commitment to managing Indonesian culture as a tourism product is key to enhancing its global recognition.
Ya, kita kan aset kebudayaan kita kan sangat besar, baik yang intangible maupun yang tangible. Tangible itu tentu museum, ya, situs-situs, itu bisa menarik wisatawan, ya, geopark segala macam. Tapi yang intangible juga seperti seni, ya, kesenian daerah, itu diharap bisa mendorong pariwisata.
TVR Parliament Team reports.
After the break, we will continue with the recent achievement by the House. Stay tuned for more updates only on House News.
Komisi 1 DPR RI merupakan salah satu dari 11 komisi yang ada di DPR RI. Berdasarkan keputusan Rapat Paripurna DPR RI tanggal 29 Oktober 2019 yang mempunyai ruang lingkup tugas di bidang pertahanan, luar negeri, komunikasi, dan informatika, serta intelijen. Pada periode 2019-2024, Komisi 1 DPR RI dipimpin oleh 5 orang pimpinan komisi yang terdiri dari 1 orang ketua dan 4 wakil ketua komisi, serta anggota Komisi 1 DPR RI dengan komposisi sebagai berikut. 10 anggota dari fraksi Partai Demokrasi Indonesia Perjuangan, 6 anggota dari fraksi Partai Golkar, 6 anggota dari fraksi Partai Gerindra, 5 anggota dari fraksi Partai Nasdem, 5 anggota dari fraksi PKB, 4 anggota dari fraksi Partai Demokrat, 4 anggota dari fraksi PKS, 3 anggota dari fraksi PAN, dan 1 anggota dari fraksi P3. Dalam menjalankan tugas dan fungsinya dalam ruang lingkup pertahanan, luar negeri, komunikasi dan informatika dan intelijen, Komisi 1 DPR RI dibantu oleh bagian Kesekretariatan Jenderal yang terdiri dari Kepala Bagian Sekretariat Komisi, Kepala Subbagian Rapat, Kepala Subbagian Tata Usaha, dan staf Sekretariat Komisi 1. Selain itu, ada juga tenaga ahli alat kelengkapan Dewan yang bertugas mendukung pelaksanaan fungsi, wewenang, dan tugas Komisi 1 DPR RI. Ketentuan khusus yang mengatur mengenai tenaga ahli DPR sendiri diatur dalam Peraturan DPR Nomor 3 Tahun 2014 tentang pengelolaan tenaga ahli dan staf administrasi anggota DPR RI. Sesuai dengan ruang lingkup tugasnya, Komisi 1 DPR RI bermitra dengan Kementerian Pertahanan, Kementerian Luar Negeri, Kementerian Komunikasi dan Informatika, Tentara Nasional Indonesia, Badan Intelijen Negara, Lembaga Ketahanan Nasional, Dewan Ketahanan Nasional, Komisi Penyiaran Indonesia, Komisi Informasi Pusat, Lembaga Penyiaran Publik Televisi Republik Indonesia, Lembaga Penyiaran Publik Radio Republik Indonesia, Dewan Pers, Perum LKBN Antara, Lembaga Sensor Film, Badan Keamanan Laut, dan Badan Siber dan Sandi Negara. Dalam melaksanakan tugas di bidang legislasi, anggaran dan pengawasan, Komisi 1 DPR RI dapat mengadakan rapat kerja dengan pemerintah yang diwakili oleh menteri, pimpinan lembaga, konsultasi dengan Dewan Perwakilan Daerah, rapat dengar pendapat dengan pejabat pemerintah yang mewakili instansinya, rapat dengar pendapat umum, rapat kerja gabungan, dan kunjungan kerja.
Sini ditambang.
Konflik yang terjadi,
Sini tidak mengizinkan.
masalah yang tersisihkan menjadi kesenjangan sosial.
Ya namanya rakyat kecil gak bisa apa-apa, mau komplain juga gak didengar.
Sebab apa? Itu menyangkut isi perut kami semua.
Bagaimana memutus keterbatasan untuk didengar?
Jadi kalau misalnya masyarakat sudah merasa tidak lagi ada yang memperjuangkan aspirasinya, maka masyarakat memang sangat berhak untuk meminta dewan yang mewakili mereka di parlemen.
Kami menyusuri batas-batas peristiwa, mengurai berbagai polemik yang terjadi, meluruhkan suara-suara marginal, menjadi nyata dalam setiap aspirasi, melaksanakan tugasnya sebagai wakil rakyat. Saksikan Aksi Dewan setiap hari Senin dan Rabu pukul 10.30 waktu Indonesia Barat hanya di TVR Parlemen. DPR RI memiliki fungsi diplomasi dalam menjalankan politik luar negeri sesuai dengan pasal 116 Undang-Undang MD3. Kontribusi aktif BKSAP DPR RI memainkan peranan penting dalam memenangkan persaingan global melalui IPU, IPA, IPPF, IPA, dan PUIK. BKSAP memiliki komitmen yang tinggi dalam krisis kemanusiaan dunia. Fungsi diplomasi dijalankan untuk mendukung upaya pemerintah dalam melaksanakan politik luar negeri.
You're still watching House News special episode of the 79th anniversary of the Indonesian House of Representatives. The Parliament complex in the heart of Jakarta stands as a symbol of Indonesian legislative power. But beyond its impressive structure, there is an interesting story about the names of the buildings and the rooms.
The Parliament complex was initially established during Indonesia's first president era. Sukarno planned to build a venue for the Conference of the New Emerging Forces, or CONEFO. However, political turmoil in 1965 stopped the construction. It was later revived by President Suharto, who repurposed the buildings for the parliament. The construction of the building progressed in phases, with each section being completed and handed over to the Secretariat General at different times. Initially named in English, these buildings were later renamed using Grand Sanskrit names: Grahatama, Lokawirasabatama, Pustakaloka, Grahakarana, and Samania Sasanagraha. These names were not just labels. They were meant to inspire and reflect the authority and wisdom of the institutions. But in 1998, everything changed. People made petition to change this name to something simpler and more reflective of Indonesia's unity. Thus, the buildings with Sanskrit names were changed. Grahatama became Gedung Nusantara, Lokawirasabatama as Gedung Nusantara I, Ganagraha Gedung Nusantara II, Lokawirasaba Gedung Nusantara III, Pustakaloka Gedung Nusantara IV, Grahakarana Gedung Nusantara V, Samania Sasanagraha as the Secretariat General Building, and Mekanik Graha is the Mechanical Building. Changes also occurred in the room names, which were simplified to just mention meeting rooms or rooms for factions, commissions, and plenary sessions.
The journey of Indonesian Parliament began long before the country gained independence. During the colonial days of the Dutch, the indigenous people had a council where their voices could be heard by the Dutch government.
Originally known as the Colonial Council, the Volksraad was renamed and shaped by Governor-General Limburg-Stirum. He wanted this council to include people from all parts of the Dutch East Indies. In June 1917, Styrum sent a letter to the Minister of Colonial Affairs outlining his plan to create a list of candidates for the Volksraad. He wanted to avoid filling the council with high-ranking officials and nobility who didn't truly represent the Dutch. The Volksraad officially started its duties on May 18, 1918, with one chairperson appointed by the king and 38 members, 15 from the indigenous population and 23 from European and foreign Asian communities. They were chosen through election, provincial representation, and appointments. By 1927, the council grew to 55 members. Many key figures in Indonesia's fight for independence emerged from the Volksraad, including Haji Agus Salim, Abdul Muiz, Sutarjo, M.H. Tamrin, Otto Iskandar Dinata, and others. One of the most significant moments in the council's history was in 1938 when for the first time the Indonesian language was spoken in the Volksraad. M.H. Tamrin's speech marked a crucial moment in the recognition of the Indonesian language on the global stage. The activities of the Volksraad came to an end when Japanese forces invaded the Dutch East Indies in 1942. After Indonesia declared independence, the legislative body was re-established as the Central Indonesian National Committee, or KNIP, on August 29, 1945, with Kasman Singodimedjo as its first chairperson.
The House has demonstrated its influence and leadership in international diplomacy by hosting a series of key global events. These events highlighted the commitment to improving global cooperation and solidarity.
The Indonesian House of Representatives has made a significant impact by successfully hosting major global parliamentary events. Each gathering highlights the ability to manage and facilitate important international discussions, emphasizing commitment to global cooperation. In 2022, as the world gradually emerged from the COVID-19 pandemic, the House took a significant step by hosting the 144th Interparliamentary Union or IPU Assembly in Bali. This was the first major international event held in Indonesia since the pandemic, bringing together over 1,000 parliamentarians from 178 countries. The assembly tackled pressing global issues such as public health, economic recovery, and sustainable development. The House's successful organization of this event set a high standard for international gatherings in the post-pandemic world. Following the success of the IPU Assembly, the House continued its diplomatic momentum by hosting the 44th General Assembly of the ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly or AIPA in Jakarta in 2023, carrying the theme Responsive Parliament for a Stable and Prosperous ASEAN. This event was crucial for the Southeast Asian region, providing a platform for Parliament of ASEAN countries to address regional challenges including economic resilience, security, and environmental issues. In 2024, the House hosted the second Indonesia-Pacific Parliamentary Partnership or IPPP in Jakarta, focusing on strengthening ties between Indonesia and Pacific countries. The event brought together parliamentary leaders from across the Pacific region to discuss key issues such as climate change, sustainable development, and regional security. The House's role in facilitating this discussion has shown the commitment to strengthening relationship with Pacific nations and its parliament in addressing shared challenges in the region.
And that's House News for today. I'm Florente. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.